Well, welcome to the very first week of our abundance program that's going to be going on for the next 4 weeks. And it is based on this book, The 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life, Creating a Consciousness of Wealth. And so the talks for the next 4 weeks are going to be based on this book. And as part of that abundance program, we have a book to gift to you. So pick one up today while you're here. And I'm hoping that we don't run out because 13 of our order was on back order. So if we happen to run out today, you can pick your book up next week. But we're beginning with the beginning of that book. We started class this week on it. And so we're beginning where she begins in the book, which is with the principle of gratitude. And so gratitude can kind of seem like a funny place to start an abundance program because, doesn't it make more sense that you'd end with gratitude? That after you create this consciousness of wealth and increase your experience of abundance in your life, that then you'd be grateful? The thing is, like Eric Butterworth, who is my favorite person who writes and talks about prosperity, is that prosperity is not just a reactionary emotion, but it is a causative energy. Our gratitude acts as cause to bring more good into our lives. And so then what that means is that it's important to be grateful for the things that we have in our lives, for all of the good that we're experiencing in our lives, because it creates a vibration. It creates a vibration of love and of openness and of fullness and of appreciation. It opens our hearts. It causes us to recognize and then revel in the good that fills our life. And then because of the law of attraction, that vibration of openness and of celebrating the good brings more good to us. And because of the fact that it opens our hearts, and then we have this posture of open-heartedness, that then we are open to receive more of that good in our lives. And so if you desire to experience greater abundance or more prosperity in your life, then it behooves you to experience and to feel and to express your gratitude as much as you can and as often as you can. And so the very foundation of talking about abundance and prosperity is to recognize that abundance and prosperity is not just about money, although it certainly includes money. But abundance and prosperity as a concept includes enough and living in the experience of plenty, having enough friends and enough love and enough time, and enough peace, and enough opportunities, and enough creativity, enough of anything that your heart desires. To live in the experience of plenty around those things is to live in abundance and to experience prosperity. And so abundance is the very nature of the universe. The nature of the physical universe that we live in, as well as the universe, meaning the infinite one. And so if you just think about this manifest universe and think about the grains of sand on a single beach, or the amount of stars that are in the sky, or the leaves on one tree, that abundance is the nature of life. The blades of grass on a lawn. The nature of this universe is abundance, and the nature of that presence is a presence of abundance and a presence of good, and it imbues everything. It imbues and expresses as everything in this world as the good itself. It is a principle that is the good. That's what we live in. Like a fish lives in water, we already live in that realm of the good. And so Eric Butterworth says, God is not a being with qualities, but good itself. Love, life, power, wisdom. Not a dispenser of good, but ever-present substance. And so it's kind of like thinking about the ocean. The ocean is the oxygen and the carbon dioxide and the salt. The ocean doesn't give salt and carbon dioxide and oxygen. That's what it is. God the infinite, that presence, whatever you want to call it, is the good. And so that spiritual principle contains all the good that we could ever desire or ever need already within it, and we already live in it, and it already lives within us. It is unformed substance ready to flow into being as the good. And so God is the good of this universe, and then what that means then, what is ours to do is to tune into that good, to avail ourselves to it. And one of the ways that we do that is through our gratitude and being grateful. And so this universe, the divine life, is infinite abundance and boundless good. That's its nature. That's what it's made up of. And that infinite potential and that boundless good is endlessly and constantly always pouring itself forth as creation, as new creation, always unfolding itself and expressing in this universe. And our gratitude tunes us into that abundance and that good. Wayne Dyer says, abundance is not something we acquire, but something we tune into. So the good is already present. Our job is to tune into it. It's kind of like tuning in with a radio dial. You know, we tune into all sorts of things through our fluctuating thoughts and our fluctuating emotions and moods. We tune in sometimes to that country and western station that says, I lost my dog and my wife and my truck. And sometimes we tune into that angry and loud heavy metal music. And sometimes we tune into love songs on the coast. And sometimes we get a lot of static because we are fluctuating a lot. But our gratitude tunes us into the station of plenty. Our gratitude tunes us into the flow that is always flowing all around us. And so the title of my talk, as Carol said to you, is Good and Plenty. And I'm talking about how we live in that principle of good, and that its very activity and nature is the activity and nature of plenty unfolding itself. And so when we experience and express our gratitude, it creates a consciousness of wealth, which means because like attracts like, we attract more of that good into our lives as more. And so in class this week, one of the assignments to do during the week was to tell the first person that you saw in your day each day during the week how grateful you were for them. And so Celeste Williams is in class, and she told me that she did that this week. And the first day, she went in the morning before work at 6:30 in the morning to Smart and Final to get her yogurt and her banana before she goes to work. And so she told the cashier how grateful she was for her and her willingness to be there at 6:30 in the morning so she could come and get her breakfast and take her food with her. And the cashier smiled and took it in, and she said, I am so grateful to have this job. And Celeste said, wow, you know what? I am so grateful to have my job because it allows me to come and buy my groceries. That kind of gratitude just feeds on itself, and it creates this environment of joy and of love and of plenty and experiencing a fullness of life that we don't experience when we're in gratitude. The problem is, though, sometimes is we get so focused on what we don't have. We get focused so much on what isn't working in our lives. We get focused on what we want that we don't have. We get focused on and feel fear that there isn't enough or we're not going to have enough, forgetting that whole entire time how powerful gratitude is. The other thing that we tend to do is be reactive to other people in the world, reactive to the people that we are in contact with, and we respond in like to how they're being. So say perhaps you have a friend who happens to be stingy and doesn't ever offer to give back. I know that I've had that experience. I find myself a pretty generous person, and I am happy to pay for lunch when I go out with my friends. And I used to have one friend who never, ever offered to pay. And I found myself withholding then and not offering to pay, which isn't my nature and isn't how I am. But we tend to respond sometimes and react to what's out there. So if someone's stingy, we tend to be stingy. If someone's tight, we tend to be tight with them. If someone is generous, we tend to be generous. If someone's kind, we give them back our kindness. But if they're cranky, we withhold it. If they're giving, we're giving. If they're closed off, we kind of close off. All the while forgetting the power of being in gratitude and how that places us in the flow, and forgetting that we are at choice, that we are cause to our experience. Not to react to what's going on, we are cause. And that's a powerful place to be, to remember we are cause, and I get to choose how I want to be in this world. I want to be generous and grateful and open-hearted and sharing, because that feels better inside of me. So it behooves us to remember that we are at cause and to focus on how grateful we are for what we have and for who we are, because that becomes the cause to our experience. And so in this book, The 5 Gifts of Abundance, she speaks to this, Diane Harmony. She says, when you give thanks, you are purifying your emotional response to life by focusing on love and leaving fear, doubt, worry, shame, and blame behind. The simple truth is you cannot at one and the same time experience appreciation and any other emotional response. You cannot experience 2 opposing ideas or thoughts or feelings or emotions at the same time. It's impossible. So when we focus on our gratitude, we can't be in fear. We can't be in sadness. We can't be in feelings of loss. We can't be in frustration or sadness. It cleans the slate. And so I was watching some videos about gratitude this week, and I saw the most amazing one. It was an experiment they were doing. They invited people to come in, and they asked them to write out a page of who someone in the world they are most grateful to and why. And so the people sat and wrote that they were grateful. One woman, she was so grateful to her sister, how she'd always been there for her and all this kind of stuff. And they showed about 5 different people. But unbeknownst to them, what they then had them do is call that person. They said, we're going to call that person, and we want you to read that to them. And so the people called and read those to them, and of course, they were crying, and the person on the other end of the phone was crying, and it was so wonderful, and open hearts and connection, how much we want to hear how important we are to other people in their lives. But the one thing that stood out so much at the end of it, they said, was for everybody that wrote those letters, it increased their experience of happiness. And everyone that received those phone calls, it increased their experience of happiness. But the people who had increased the experience, their happiness quotient the most, was the people that started out the most unhappy. They had the biggest shift in how happy they were. It's powerful to feel our gratitude. And so in class, one of the things we did this week was did a meditation and answered the questions, and then shared the answers of 5 things that we are grateful that we have in our lives, and 5 things that we are grateful for about ourselves. And it was so awesome. Then we got in small groups and shared our answers to hear people sharing how grateful they are for their friends and their family and their pets. People sharing how grateful they are for their freedom and for safety. People sharing how grateful they are for this path that they are walking, this spiritual path, and for their growth. Grateful for their willingness, grateful for their flexibility. And as we shared those things with each other, I don't even know how to say the energy. It was just so amazing, and everyone's hearts were so open and feel so connected to each other. And everyone is just in such a happy, full, that's the word. It feels so full when we feel our gratitude like that. And so that's exactly what happens is when we focus on our gratitude, we feel full. Our lives seem full. We get filled up just by recognizing it and expressing it, and it shifts everything for us. And so one of the other questions that we answered in class was, what happens inside of you when you experience gratitude? And people answered things like, I get tears in my eyes. I feel really open. It feels really warm. I feel happier. I feel more joyful. I feel more energetic. I feel younger. Does anybody want to feel younger? I feel younger when I'm in gratitude. Everybody feels happier and more alive when they are in gratitude. And so when we came back into the room and people were sharing about their experience, Colleen said, you know, if that's what we feel, if that gratitude makes us feel more alive and warmer and fuller and joyous, why don't we live there all the time? It's like, absolutely, only because we forget. We forget how powerful it is. And the big surprising answer that I got in that meditation, what does it feel like? What do I experience inside of me when I feel gratitude? Is it feels like a relief. So many people say that it feels like a relief to feel gratitude. And what that says to me, if it feels like a relief, it's because it's where we're meant to be. If it feels like a relief, because somehow then it has a sense of coming home, a sense of being where we belong. When we come home like that, we're in recognition of that boundless good and how blessed we are, and that we are a part of all of it, that we are one with it. That's where it takes us back to. Home in God, home in life, home in that one from whence we have come, home in the kingdom, and that we are remembering that. We are becoming a member in that kingdom once again simply by our recognition. And so Eric Butterworth says, your thanksgiving is more to a response to what is happening around you or to you. It is a celebration of the truth with a capital T. In our recognition of that good, we are celebrating the truth that we live in this kingdom. And so my invitation to you this week is to be in that energy of gratitude. Be in gratitude for all that you have and for all the amazing qualities that you have inside of you. Gratitude for who you are and who you've become as you've walked this path. Gratitude for the principles, the principle of healing and the principle of love and the principle of wholeness. Gratitude for compassion and for peace and for well-being, all those things that we have in our lives. And if you don't keep a gratitude journal, start a gratitude journal. Write down 5 things every day that you're grateful for. It's amazing what happens. You keep finding every day as you write them down, you come up with more and more and more and more things that you really are grateful for. Say grace before dinner. Just naming the things that you're grateful for. We do that at my house every time before we eat dinner. And can I tell you how many times I start crying before we eat dinner? Because I feel so grateful for the things in my life. And then tell someone every day how grateful you are for them. The person that makes your coffee at Starbucks. The waitress who comes to your table and brings your food, how grateful you are that you get to sit down and not have to cook and have someone serve you, someone that's willing to do that. Tell your spouse how grateful you are that they took the trash out, or just how grateful you are that they're in your life and that they put up with you. How grateful you are to the produce guy who stocks the produce and we get to go and buy all these beautiful fruits and vegetables. For the person that washes your car and you don't have to do it yourself. so many people we're grateful for in this life. Share that with them. And as a result, you'll be a magnet for more good in your life. You'll be amplifying your experience of joy and your experience of fullness and this full life that you're living. You'll be amplifying your experience of aliveness and your connection to other people and connection to life. You'll be increasing your awareness of good, and as a result, drawing more good to you. And so I'd like to close with a quote from Meister Eckhart, who was a 15th century mystic. He says, "If the only prayer you ever say in your whole life is thank you, that would suffice." And so blessings to each and every single one of you as you live this most amazing, abundant life. And blessings to each of you on this path of awakening and unfolding and discovering who you are and discovering this magnificent life. Blessings to all of you.
I'd like to say that I am grateful for gestures. Gestures when she goes like this, like it's time for you to play, and like this, no, I got to pray first. Check, you know, cut it short, stretch it. All of them. And most of all, I'm grateful to be here today in this wonderful community. It's not just about money. It's about friends, love, opportunity, peace and creativity. It's an ever-present substance in our life. Our gratitude has a causative energy that attracts more good and plenty and creates a chain of thankfulness times 20 and beyond. It's unlimited abundance. Rinse and repeat, sweet redundance. Everything's available, ready and attainable. Unlimited abundance. It's not something we acquire. It's something you tap into. It's all there waiting there for you. And having a grateful heart is a perfect place to start with. Unlimited abundance, good and plenty, sweet redundance. Everything's available, ready and attainable. Unlimited abundance. Keep a gratitude journal. Write those good things down and share the joy with everyone you meet. It's overflowing good. That's what we all want under the hood. Oh, it's unlimited abundance. Rinse and repeat, sweet redundance. Everything's available, ready and attainable. Unlimited abundance. You can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. So stay in that thankful place and let your good and plenty shine. And I'm thankful I can stand here and make up rhyme. Oh, unlimited abundance. Rinse and repeat, sweet redundance. Everything's available, ready and attainable. Unlimited abundance. Unlimited abundance. Rinse and repeat, sweet redundance. Everything's available, ready and attainable. Unlimited abundance. Good and plenty, good and plenty, good and plenty, good and plenty. Let your spirit shine. Good and plenty, good and plenty, good and plenty. That's what was said by a friend of mine. Yeah, good and plenty. With the energy you had when you were 20.